Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Saturday, it is the weekend, and prices are very healthy, I would say, as opposed to previous weekends where it's not so good. So let's see how Sunday fares and the weekly close, right? So I put a video out yesterday. It was a members video. So if you get a chance, go check out that video. There's some definitely interesting things in there. So yeah, let's jump into it. XRP still above that 230 level that we really wanted to see, but now we're breaking the 240 level and approaching $2.45 very soon here. You can see that lines up with this level kind of like right there. So I would expect us to hit that. Probably sometime today or tonight. We'll see. And the reason why is because I think we have a 5-wave move here. You can see very clearly 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we come up here and get 5. And then probably over Sunday we would have to pull back, maybe to even 230 or maybe even a little bit below that. We'll see. But that's just one idea. Let's zoom out here a little bit. So obviously we're in some kind of fourth wave, right? And I believe that fourth wave was finished right there. You can see 3 down, we got 3 up, we got 3 back down. We have a completed 3-wave move, right? We have a 5-wave move here, right? So this 5-wave move here can be interpreted a couple different ways. You could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, that's a 2, right? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's another 1, and then an ABC pullback. That's another 2. So this is looking really much like a 1, 2, 1, 2, which is the most bullish setup you can have, because that basically means we should get a pretty nice 3rd wave and a 5th wave. So, but when you have a 1, 2, 1, 2 and you're in the middle of the 3rd wave, it still doesn't take away from the fact that you have all of this resistance, right? So it's going to be a little tricky getting through it, but I believe once we do get through it, we're going to shoot up pretty fast, pretty rapidly, maybe up to that $3 mark. So we could see $3 as little as next week. But I would be more conservative, and I would probably say give it a few weeks. Because the thing is, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a 1, and that's an A, and this is some kind of B, which I don't think it is because it's very impulsive B, we could still come down for a C, and it could be a flat here, and that could take a week or so for that to play out before getting back up here in your 3rd wave, right? So this would be 1 and that would be 2. So it's a little bit challenging to know exactly how that is going to look, but let's just track it wave by wave. I believe we're going to get up to 248, maybe even 250, between 250 and 260. So somewhere in that zone right in here. So once we get there, we could be flagging out for a little bit, just get a little bit of a flag and then shoot us up to here. So I don't think we're just going to go in a straight line up. If we do that, that's okay, but then expect a bigger sort of correction coming later on. So we can either get that now or later. So we'll see. I would rather do it now because that would allow more DCAing up at lower levels as opposed to DCAing at higher levels. And when you get a bigger wave, you get a bigger correction. So Let's get up to 250, 260, and let's get a little flag going, and then let's get back up there. That's how I'm thinking here. Now, if another idea could be that this is a 1-2, 1-2, and another 1-2, right? That would be very interesting, and you have some type of accumulation cylinder. That would be interesting. And of course, the most bearish idea would be that if this whole thing is a wave one, what if we have to come all the way back down to like $2 for a wave two before then coming back up to 3? I don't think that's the case, because if you look 1, 2, that would have to be 3, this would be 4, and that would be 5. And in here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I just don't think so, because the third would be the smallest, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So that's why I'm not really on board with that idea. If we do get a pullback, we really want to stay above 220. We don't want to go back below 220. We definitely don't want to go back below this low of 209. So between 209 and 220, this area, if we do get a flag, we want to hold that spot. If we break below that spot, then our last Hail Mary would be a 1-2. Right? So yeah, let's see how it plays out. Again, we have a lot of ammunition. So they just did it. If you're wondering why Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday, we had a big day, 10-15%. Friday, we had another pretty good day. And today, it's also kind of getting a little bit of upside. So I would say a good 2 days worth of upside. The reason why is because, well, there's obviously the technical reasons, but, we had a trade deal with the UK. And I think that they're the 6th largest something exporter or importer or something. So it's a pretty big deal, right, to get that trade deal done. So, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. Now, what if next week we have another trade deal with another country, a big country? What if it's, I don't know, France or something, or I don't know, like maybe it's Brazil, or I don't know, maybe Canada, Mexico. We'll see. So, yeah, ammunition. And then the big one would be China. So, China, once we get that deal done, it's going to be major. So, we'll see. Trump is kind of an interesting individual. He likes to do the deals first. So, for all we know, the deal could be already done. And what we see on TV is just the optics playing out. So I don't know for sure that's the case, but I know President Xi and Trump, in the previous administration, I've heard many different stories, videos of them like conversing. So I think they're on the same page, because if China is interesting, because you have the president, which is President Xi, and then you have the Chinese Communist Party, which is the problem, and then you have the people of China, right? The people of China are just like anybody else. They want to do well for their family, right? So they don't have no part in this. They're just trying to get by. Now the Communist Party, they're trying to just be like world domination. They just want to take over the world. I think President Xi has a little more common sense. I think he's going to be a little bit more rational. So if I was Trump, I would primarily deal with him, because there's a lot of other forces in China, dark forces, that we don't even see. So it makes it very challenging when trying to do a deal, because you can have President Xi and Trump wanting to do the deal, but then you have the deep state Democrat fake news, and then you have the deep state Communist Party regime in China And those are two opposing forces. So it's obviously a challenging situation, but I think the deal is going to get done. So XRP is right now creating history because we are on the verge of a 7-year breakout from this consolidation range that we've been in for quite some time. So for 7 years, right? And we could see we're flagging out here, right? We got a 1, 2, we got a 3, we're getting a 4. Let's get 5. That's most likely what we're going to see. So if you look at this range here, right there, from this wave to this wave, and if you take this whole entire wave, right, and let me take and I'm not going to do it from the COVID low. I'm actually going to do it from this low, and this low here. So there's more confluence, it's more conservative. So if I take a line and I draw it right here, before I do that though, I want to tell you what the targets are. All right. So obviously we have a target here. And if I pull that down, you're looking at about, $9-10 for this Fibonacci level. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get 5, that looks like it would make sense, right? But the question becomes after that. That's a 5-wave move. Do we get another 4-year, 5-year bear market? Maybe, but it doesn't make too much sense. But what if we had a mid-cycle correction? What if this is a super cycle and we don't even know it, right? You could say, well, Bitcoin is the problem because it already has 5 waves. Yes, but if it corrects for the next 6 to 9 months, maybe even a year, we can then see another setup, right? We'll talk about that in a minute, but you can see $9 to $10, right? Because a lot of people think, the bull market has just begun. Others think that it's almost over. Once we get this last wave, Bitcoin is toast. And I believe that's where I'm at as well. But there's always a situation where you can have a mid-cycle correction, kind of like something like that. And you could say, well, that's what we're getting right now. And that's true. Maybe that's the case, right? However, if you look at other charts, something tells me that, and we'll touch on a little bit later, but something tells me that there's a potential we could have a mid-cycle correction. So, but anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But look, so we have $9. All right, now let's take another fib level from the 2018 all-time high, and we'll go down to C19. And you can see, so first of all, I'm going to take a line and I'm going to put that right on the 4.236. I know it's cluttered, just give me a minute. And then I'm going to put another one. There's a $13 target. And then is there anything else? Obviously, you have this little zone right in here. And you have this zone right in here. All right, so let me get rid of this. And let me get rid of that. So those are some interesting areas that we should be looking at. All right. Now, if you look at this here, because again, this took 7 years. Look how many years this has taken, guys. A long time. So you're telling me that we spent all of this time to just go there and that's it? I mean, that's where the move is, and I think that's a big deal. And I believe we will get a major correction, if not even a bear market. But at the same time, I don't think that's the end of the story for XRP. I think you're going to get more continuation after that. Because of how long this has been building, right? Remember, XRP is a cycle behind basically everything else, especially Bitcoin, Ethereum, the top ones. So, yeah, it shall be interesting. But now, all right, so if you look at the range from the retrace level to the base of the floor, and if we measure that, right, if we measure that from here all the way up to here, so if we take this as a range, as a measured move, as a target, and we take this and we put it right there, you can see, let me make sure it's perfect, or at least try. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me take a line and I'm gonna put it right there. Well, would you look at that? That's $20 XRP, right? So is there any confluence to the $20 mark? Yes, there is. And it's actually, the confluence to that target is actually more than $20, believe it or not. So and the reason why, but let me just show you here. So if we take a regular Fibonacci level, so let's check out that target. But real quick, if you look at, just as an example of fetch here, and I take a Fibonacci line from this wave all the way down, you could see basically, we're right around that 1618 area, right? All right, fair enough, right? So we had that wave, we had a retrace, we made it to the 1618 area. And something similar, like, for example, Dogecoin. Definitely like comparing Doge to XRP as far as the structure goes of the chart. You could see Dogecoin also hit the 1618 right there, but it actually went way higher than that. It actually hit the 2.272, right? So Fetch went higher than the 1618, Doge went higher than the 1618. And if you look at Doge, you have 1, 2, 3, and then you flag out for 4, then you get 5. Same thing with XRP. You got 1, 2, 3. You have a major base for a 4, and then you go get 5. Same thing like we just saw with Doge. And then you have coins like maybe Ethereum that didn't quite hit the 1618, but it did hit the 1.414. Now these are all log scale targets, right? Now a lot of the reason too that Ethereum probably didn't make it to the 1618 is because it didn't develop a big enough base, a big strong support to get us there, right? We basically had this W model, which by the way looks exactly like Theta, like literally exactly, right? So Theta's like right there, but you basically had a double bottom, but you didn't create a big base. You just had a double bottom, and then that wave extended out, and then it gassed out. It had no gas left in the tank, right? So versus something like XRP, where we've been going sideways, not just for a couple years, but for 7 years, makes a big difference in how much gas is in that tank. It's like rocket fuel. And by the way, speaking of rocket fuel, Dogecoin hit the 2.272. Well, so did Bitcoin back in the day, right? If you look at this, you had a little bit of a base, barely nothing though, right? But you had a very steadily run up with a parabolic curve versus Ethereum, which was more, it was much faster, but it ended quicker. So what is the moral of what I'm saying here? You should at least think and expect somewhere around that 1618 target, right? We just looked at multiple examples. All right, so if we go back to XRP and we look at our targets, right? Our minimum targets are, between 8 and $12, $8 and $13, somewhere right around there. We'll get more accurate as the wave gets more developed. But if you take the measured move from the range, you're looking at $20. All right. So, but what about the fib level? What about the log scale 1618 fib level? Well, let's take a look. So if we take the fib level and we apply it to XRP, you can see we have confluence in that target, which is $21, $22. So not only the 1618, but the measured move of that range is also between $20 and $21. So we could see a $20 XRP. Now, but notice when I pulled the fib, I didn't go all the way down to C19 levels. If I did do that and I pull it down a little bit more to where it should be, and that's exactly right on the dot, and then make sure this is right on the dot as well, or at least try to get it as close as I can here, then you can see now it's no longer $20, right? It is $26, $27. So I'm not saying XRP is going to hit $27, but we just looked at multiple examples of coins hitting the 2.272. Now Dogecoin hit the 2.272 in its fifth wave, right? So that would be absolutely insane if we had like 1, 2, 3. You have a big 7-year base for 4, and then you go and shoot up to the 2.272. I mean, it looks possible. Obviously, the market cap would be totally insane. There's speculation, though, that maybe the market cap isn't necessarily what people really think it is. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I mean, I get it. I get both sides of the equation, you know. So, but yeah. So, but let's not even go there, right? So, 2.272, that's probably out of the question. The 2 probably out of the question. That's probably out. That's probably out. But the 1618, can we maybe hit that? I think so. And the reason why I think it could hit between 20 and 20, say $26, $27, between 20 and 27, is because you have the 1618 target, number one. Number two, you have the measured move, which is at $20. And if you come conservative with it to the close, you're looking at $22, right? Now, if you make it even more conservative and you bring this all the way down to that $2 level, then your 1618 comes in at $10, right? So we're not using that wick anymore. Now, if we use the bottom of the wick, you can see now it's at $11. It's not too much of a difference, right? So which is it? Is it $10? Is it $11? Or is it $20 or $27? That's the magical thing, right? It's really depends on how this wave structure gets up here, right? For example, if we have a first wave that's already at like $9, and then your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth, you know, yeah, you can see that. So we'll see how the wave structure gets developed. But the biggest reason I think that we could potentially, I don't know for sure if we can hit it or not, but if it hits it, I'm not going to be completely surprised. And the reason why is because, again, we do not have an example of a cryptocurrency going 7 years in a range, right? That's a long time. Just going to the top, going to the bottom, going to the top, going to the bottom, sideways, sideways, sideways again, right? Long time. This creates a coiled spring. This creates a situation where you have a lot of tension, you have a lot of spring. Look how tight it is, right? If we go over here, you could see how tight this was. Very tight, which led to this major explosion, right? And where did that explosion come from? It came from a sideways move. We were literally going sideways, right? So we were going sideways for several months, which led to extreme explosion. Now, what about if we're going sideways for several years? Not just several years, but several years. Then what? Well, we don't have an example. We have Amazon as an example, right? I'm sure there's a lot of stocks out there. I don't really look at individual stocks. I just don't have a lot of time for that. But there is Amazon, and Amazon took 10 years for it to break its first bull market top, right? And ever since it broke its bull market top back in 2010, it's still been going much, much higher, right? So Amazon took 10 years from 1999 all the way to 2010. So we had a rise, we had a crash, we had a retrace, we came down into reaccumulation, we went sideways, right? We broke out, we back tested, and then we continued higher, right? We finally broke out after 10 years. So look at the shape of it, guys. Look at the shape. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. It looks like this. Boom, 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 boom. That's what it looks like. All right. So if you get that structure, that chart, big possibility it's going to do that. Now, Amazon is a stock. It goes up very slow and steadily. It goes up over time. But look how long it's been going up since 2010 all the way to today, 2025. So it's been going up for 15 years. It created a 10-year base, and now it's in a 15-year bull market, guys. That's insane. Now, I'm not saying XRP is going to go up for 15 years. That's not even, I don't even think it's possible because it's not a stock, right? It's a crypto. Cryptos are very explosive, and they get to their targets very fast, and then it's pretty much over. But like this, back over here, when Amazon was a small market cap, it went very quickly. All right, let's go back. Now let's go back to XRP. So is $27 way too high? Maybe. Is $20 too high? I don't think so. But what is within the realm of reason, like a minimal target that we should expect? Well, I'll tell you right now. If we don't get past $8, I would be very concerned. I would be upset. I would be sort of like, that's not what I was hoping for, So if we only hit $8, not even 9, not even 10, it's like, that's a little bit of a disappointment. But let's say, for instance, we do hit $8 and that was it. Well, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got up to $8. Okay, not too bad. Still $8, still pretty good, right? Especially when we came from 50 cents. So then what? Well, let's do this. Let's get rid of all of this, and let's put a line right at, let's put it right there. Let's say that's all XRP has, $7.73. It'd be a little disappointed, right? But again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get up there. Okay. So, but if that's the case and that's all we hit, what I would expect from then is not another 7-year bear market like this. It just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at all. What makes more sense is if we had a 5-wave move up and we had, let's say we had 3 down, we had 3 up, and then we had like 5 down, right? We had a big 3-wave correction that got us back down to maybe $2 or not $2. Yeah, like $2 around there. And then it started, kind of going sideways a little bit, and then we get that big breakout. That would make a lot more sense, right? So you're kind of flagging out here for a while. And the way I have it drawn is like 2029, 2030. That's 5 years from now, which I think that's too long, to be quite honest. This is the 2-week chart. Let's go to the 5-day chart so we can kind of scrunch it in a little bit better here. And let's try to draw that again. Let's use a polyline. Will be a little more accurate. So if I had to envision a lackluster target of between $6 and $8, then I would expect higher prices still, because we would have some type of mid-cycle correction. So we go up in 5, and then Bitcoin topped. Everybody thinks the bear market is, and yeah, maybe for a little while, but I would expect probably a move back down to the all-time high, right? So we would back test the all-time high, probably get a little bit of a pop up to $6, and then maybe come back down to like 250, some kind of three-wave correction, right? And then maybe we kind of go sideways for a little bit here, right? Maybe we go sideways just for a little bit, but then eventually we start hauling ass again, and we get all the way up to that $20 mark. That's how I see us getting the $20. People think, well, he said $20, so that means we should go in a straight line to $20. No, $20 could take years. $20 could take a couple years. I think we will hit $8, $9, $10 this year. But once we hit it, I think you're going to have a lot of people who didn't, because a lot of people got screwed here and they didn't get the bull run. So, and then a lot of people were buying in here, but a lot of people sold. So it's also like people, we finally get back up here and then they take their profits, right? But that's just gearing up for the next move higher, in my opinion. So I'm just trying to envision. This video is, doing the small term analysis and trying to figure out what's going on. But I'm just trying to look at long-term projections, right? This is not a prediction. This is just trying to figure things out. We're exploring ideas here, like what it could look like. So without a doubt, I think this wave is coming. Now, that's one idea. But if we get up here and let's say worst case scenario, we have a bear market, well, then, a typical bear market lasts 4 years, right? So you're in 2025, so you're looking at 2029 all the way here, right? So what if we had to kind of come all the way down before then going up? And that's basically your bear market. You're kind of flagging out in here for the next move up. Yeah, I could see that, but it's a little too big. So, but anyways, that's basically it for XRP. Again, the minimum I'm looking at is $7, $8, $9. That's the minimum, like, we should hit it. I would really love to see XRP get between 10 and 13. That would be the standard target. And then the extreme target would be between 15 and 20. And the ultra bullish would be between 20 and 27. So we'll see how that all plays out. Again, the best thing XRP has going for it is that it's XRP. It has Ripple, has the RLUSD, has the XRP ETF, the Ripple IPO. But it also has the native token, the XRP, right? Which, in my opinion, is probably one of the best cryptos in terms of its utility value. But not only that, the number one thing is the chart. The chart, again, is just magnificent, right? So it's back testing, the breakout here, and it's cocking back like a loaded gun. XRP is a loaded gun, and it's getting cocked back. I think that's a good thumbnail, I think. So yeah. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. The issue here would be Bitcoin. So how do we see a mid-cycle correction, right? Well, real quick for XRP, let's say we pop up here to like $6, $7, $8, and that was it. Well, again, if we had some kind of like mid-cycle correction, something kind of big, that could ultimately lead to a big $20, $25, even $30 move, because it had time to rest. It had time to flag out from its high. So it all depends what it looks like after we get this wave. First of all, we don't even know if we're going to get. Nothing is guaranteed. This is not financial advice. But in my opinion, we're going to get this wave. When we get it, how does it look after that? Does it look extremely violent to the downside? Does it look corrective? It's probably going to play around. It's probably going to seem bullish. If it looks like this versus looking like this versus looking like this, right? So we'll see how it looks. But the way it looks now, this is not how markets top. It looks like it's flagging out, right? It doesn't look like a blow off top at all. So it looks absolutely gorgeous. So Bitcoin, how if XRP was going to have a mid-cycle correction all of crypto, then how would that translate to Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin looks like it's toasted it already. It looks like it's completed, right? You already have 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like you have 5 waves here. So how the hell? And they're 5 long waves, not like XRP where they're in different degrees, right? So this is a 2-year 5-wave impulse. Bitcoin is in a 2-year 5-wave impulse. So if it took 2 years to get this impulse, then it could take 6 months to a year to get a, maybe more than that. I would imagine probably more like 8 to 16 months of correcting. So if we had like some kind of mid-cycle correction, let me use a polyline here, and I'm just kind of assuming, we get up here, maybe pop up to like 140, 150, something like that. Whoops, trying to get 5 waves, and it's just not working. Something like that, okay? And then, obviously, you get a big move down and an A, a B, and a C. Maybe backtest is high here, and then kind of come back, play around a little bit, and then maybe continue the trend. But I don't think so. I think it would probably be a B wave or some sort, and then you'd get like a C wave, and then you would continue the trend. Something like that, right? Yeah, maybe more like that. So, creating structure up here to hold the price, because you really don't have a lot of structure, right? You basically, you have this big wave here, but there's nothing to counterbalance this wave, right? There's no counterbalance. So if we get that move up and then we get that counterbalance, and it's in a corrective form, not like this, not like that. That's a total bear market, but we'll see how it all plays out. We're probably gonna get a bear market. It's probably gonna be something like that, right? So I don't know if that would qualify as a mid-cycle correction, kind of like how this was a mid-cycle correction. Okay, so if we take a bars pattern, just to kind of get an idea of what it could potentially look like, we'll go there, and we'll just go there. And then we'll take this, and we'll say, like right there. So that could be what a mid-cycle correction looked like, right? You hit up to 140, 150, you flag out for a year or 8 months to a year. Or was that 6 months, or how long was that? That was from June all the way to March. Oh yeah, so that's definitely, yeah. So, all right. So yeah, that's the big question. Do we get a mid-cycle correction? Because the reason why I say that is because it makes a lot of sense when we look at a lot of other altcoins, because a lot of other altcoins, they need more time, right, to get to their levels. Like if we look at, for example, Theta, remember, Bitcoin has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, right? And it's like literally has a little bit more to go, and then it's probably over. So if that little bit more to go, how is Theta gonna break out if Bitcoin only has a little bit more to go? So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Maybe we have a totally different situation where Bitcoin's kind of just consolidating in its own mid-cycle correction as the altcoins get a real alt season, kind of decoupling away from Bitcoin a little bit. That's a wild theory. It probably won't happen, but I'm just trying to think of why or how we can see a big move for Theta, because I still expect, you have 3 up, you have 3 down, let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that could be rather quick, and that's a three-wave move, right? But then you would have to cock back, and then you would have to go sideways before getting the big launch. So that's probably what's happening here for Theta, right? So that's kind of my roadmap here. And then you would have a rise crash, a three-wave retrace, come down reaccumulation, then break out. And you can say that's your mid-cycle correction. By the way, Theta is looking pretty good on the small time frames, and we didn't really touch on XRP on the small time frames. Or did we? I think we did a little bit. But yeah, we're almost to $1. So you could see 1, 2, looks like 3. Maybe we get a little bit of a 4, and then we pop up to get a 5 for XRP, right? And we perfectly called this because we identified a 5-wave move, right? It wasn't a flag, it wasn't a 3-wave move, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move. We had a 3-wave pullback, we had a little bit of a base, we had a 1, 2, 3. So let's get 4 and 5. And then from there, probably kind of flag out a little bit before ultimately heading higher. Now, what if this thing just keeps pumping and pumping and pumping? Well, hey, then that's great. I'm loving it. Let's go. Let's go. But I would imagine we would get some resistance here because you could see where we're at. You could see we're sort of at the bottom of this, right? And then you have all of this over here, right? Which then just drags out through here. And if I put a whole zone here, you can kind of see right about there's your whole zone, and that's between where we are now and about $1.05. So that zone's going to be pretty difficult to get through, right? Because it's, again, the bottom of this, right? So let's get up here. Or actually, if you look, this is 1, 2. We're in the middle of 3. Let's get 4 and let's break it to the upside. Let's get 5 and break it to the upside. And, you know, maybe $1.20, $1.30, and then sort of flag out and back test into that zone. And then now you're holding, right? This is support. Now it's resistance again. But once we break out of it and then we retest it, now we flip it back to support again. And then continue higher and get back to these retrace levels. So that's kind of what I'm believing here and thinking here for the price of Theta. It looks great, you know. I got a little bit worried though when we got down here because, you know, obviously we back tested this and I said this would probably be a good area for a bounce, but I didn't like the fact that we had to go way deep down there. I would much rather prefer it to stay, you know, above this level here, above that 82-cent level. But no, we slammed all the way back down to 60 cents, and you can see we had support, right? So yeah, I think that now that we have this wave, which is definitely the biggest counter wave, it appears to be finished, right? It appears to be that this wave is done, and now we're setting up for another wave. Now, if it's not done, then this would be 1, 2, this would be 3, this would be 4, and we would get rejected here, and then we would come down for 5. So that's the thing, right? It's not all sunshine and rainbows yet. We need to get through a lot of areas. It's going to be a lot of struggles, you know. So again, if this is an extended third and this is a 3-wave move, because all we have is 3, right? We don't have 5 waves on this time frame. We only have a 3-wave move. So this needs to turn into 4 into 5. But if it doesn't and it's just 3 and we get rejected, then we can come down and set 5 and then go. Or we would get 3 up, we would get 3 down, and then we would come up and get 5, right? And then who knows after that. So, but I think the wave is finished. I think it's complete. It's long enough. It's got plenty of waves. It's got divergence. It looks pretty solid. So, let's see if we can break out of here. Now, if we look at the weekly candle, we have a bullish engulfing weekly candle. Not only that, but we are breaking above the 9 buy. So we had a 9 buy on the weekly. And look at the 9, right? I talked about this. Look how beautiful that is. We developed a base. Not only we had a 9, but we developed a base. We had doji candles. We had divergence. We had 5 waves. We broke above the red dot. We have a bullish engulfing candle. So it's all set. So we'll see how next week plays out. But that's pretty much it. So for Bitcoin real quick though, on the smaller time frames, we have a completed 5-wave move, I believe, or maybe one more wave. So you can see we're also on a 9 sell here, and look at how the 9 sell. Well, first of all, you could see the 9 buy. We flagged out. We had a 9 buy. We developed the base. We broke above the red dots. We retested that setup trend line, and then we skyrocketed all the way up. We landed on a 9, and that 9 called the exact top. Right? It looks like it's creating a flat or some type of 3-wave move. Now that could be more complex 3-wave move. We don't know. We'll see. But if not, we'll get a 5th wave here. So it could be like 1, 2, 3, get a little bit of a 4, then pop up for a 5. And then that would be the 5th of the 5th, because you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, flag out for 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's your 3, flag out for 4, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's your 5 right there. So, but now let's talk about what happens after that. Most people won't tell you what happens after that. You know, to me, you know, we have a 5-wave move. We're right at the all-time high. It makes sense that we have some type of consolidation, some type of flag, some type of ABC or something that kind of resets the price and then continue higher. So we shall see. Now, the most bearish idea is that this is the 5th wave and it's truncated. And it could be done. Bitcoin could be over right now. This could be it for Bitcoin right now, if this is a truncated 5th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You say 5 didn't even break out. But yeah, well, it's truncated. So I don't think it's truncated. I don't think that's the case. I think this is just wave 1 of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be the best situation. So let's move on. Another one you want to keep an eye on here is Monero. I don't think any other channel has been talking about Monero as much as we have, explaining just how juicy this coin is. Very bullish looking coin. Now on the small time frames, I don't know if this is a B wave, right? So this could be A, this could be a 3-wave B, and then we still need C, and then go up. I mean, that's a possibility. Or if this is just going to creep up and keep revving up. I don't know. What I do know is it looks corrective. And it looks like you're getting a little bit of a top here. So probably the best thing for it to do would be to flag out and then do something like that. But there's nothing to worry about for Monero. Monero looks primed for the long-term picture here. Keep that in mind, because this is a long situation. So, yeah, that flat, this A A, B, C played out very nicely. Right now we're in an impulse. So yeah, the weekly chart. That's what I want to look at. The weekly chart. So the weekly candle. So Monero is about to have the highest weekly close since going all the way back to September 2021. Wow. That's pretty impressive. That's what, 4 years. So if we close above 315, we did it, you know. So that's the level we want to see get broken. Same when we look at XRP right here. You can see that same level was right here at $1.30. So Monero is like it's right here. So, you know, because you had all this sideways. That's why I like Monero. But another reason too is because Monero's chart looks exactly like XRP's chart, except Monero's chart actually kind of looks a little bit more bullish in some aspects. In some aspects, right? Because again, you still have that major 7-year base, that major 2-3 year accumulation, right? And now you're right at the verge of breaking these retrace levels. So this could get very fireworky in a minute. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. XRP versus Bitcoin is looking good. It's flagging out. It's got this little ABC here. It's flagging. Looks pretty good. Is there any sequentials? Let's see. Oh, look at that. We had a 5-day 9 buy. It looks pretty good too. So you got this 3-wave pullback. So let's take the sequential off. And let's take a look. Just not sure if this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go up. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have 5 in the 5th. Or if it's done now, right? This is a 3-wave pullback. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a wave 1. And that's an ABC. That's a wave 2. It's a pretty long wave 2, and then we shoot up for that wave 3. Coming soon to a theater near you. We'll see how that plays. Got a double bottom so far. So let's see if we keep that going. Now, my favorite meme coin is SHIB. Definitely my #1 meme coin for this cycle. Doesn't mean it's going to be the biggest winner, but I picked it because I like the chart. To me, it's got the best looking chart. It's got plenty of time. It stood the test of time, right? If it was going to die, it probably would have died already. But the fact that, you know, it's still holding above this range in here, pretty good sign. So I think it's going to outperform Dogecoin, and I think SHIB is the second biggest meme coin. Or is it Trump now? I haven't even looked in a while, but essentially, I think this thing is going to do some very spectacular things. You know, you got this 1-2-1-2 setup, and then you got this other I don't know if it's another 1-2 or if it's wave 3, but you got this cockback here, this beautiful 3-wave pullback, and you're developing a base on top of your primary base. And it looks like it's getting ready to be a launch pad way the hell up here. So I'm excited for that. So I'm using 1,000 SHIB with 7x, and that's my entry, and I'm up 225%. Not too bad. So I would have to go to 1,000 SHIB. Basically, it's just a futures chart. Here it is right here. It's the same chart, but I did add to my position, which hurt my overall entry price. So I want to say my first entry was somewhere down here. And then my second entry was maybe up here, which then averaged it out to about 12. I think it was 12,021, right about there. So that was my average entry. So that's not too bad. So I'm going to just hold it. And I'm glad that I don't want to add to my position anymore, because then what happens is your average entry starts going up. And I don't want it to go past this high, because if we break that low, I want to have a little bit of wiggle room for profit. So I don't mind holding it because I think I'm in a good position here. So if we have to come all the way back down, whatever, I'll still hold my position with the expectation of it coming back up here. So definitely want to take a little bit of profit here, since we're kind of back in this zone. You can see the bottom of this, the top of that, and the top of this, kind of right in this area. So I would expect a little bit of a pause. So we don't have any bearish divergence yet. I don't understand. Every time the RSI is on the top, I don't get it. It's supposed to be on the bottom. Okay. Yeah, RSI looks great. So no complaints there. But SHIB, again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. We'll see how that goes. But it looks to me like, again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be 1. This could be 2. And now we're in motion for that third wave. So this could be 1, 2. You know, it could keep going. And then not only that, but if I take this line here, you can see we have broken out of this inverse head and shoulder. So you have a shoulder, you have a head, you have a shoulder. So what's the measured move of that inverse? Well, if you take a line here, let's go up to there. Ballpark. Let's be a little bit more conservative. You're basically looking at back under this level up here. So I would put it there, and I would put it right there. So somewhere in that zone, which makes sense, right? So definitely don't want to take too much profits until we get to that zone there. And then it becomes very risky, because do we go into expansion? Do we break the retrace levels? Or the big fear, I suppose, would be that because Bitcoin is so close to finishing, if SHIB gets up here and Bitcoin looks like it's already done, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. So we'll see. But I really want to see this go into price discovery. You know, SHIB really, this was SHIB's glory right there. That was all it had. Right? And since then, it's basically like halfway down. So it looks good for a continuation. I mean, you can see this trend line here looks very nice. And then you can also see this downward resistance line, the supply line, also looks very nice. And you have this gap in the middle that we're trying to get to. Right, this little zone in here. So once we break that zone, once this zone right here, I think it's going to immediately shoot up very fast, right? So now when you look at it, you could say, well, it could be a triangle, right? Maybe it is. You have like A, you have B, you have C, then you come up in D. If we go up in 3 and then we come down in 3, then we would shoot up in 5. Right, A, B, C, D, E triangle, right? Yeah. So, but if I take the measured move of this, let's put it right there. I would imagine. I think that's a little bit too much, but we'll see. Basically, you take that whole move and then you put it wherever it's going to break out. And then we'll take a fib level. By the way, if you can hit that like, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what you think. We just crossed that 1 hour mark. Look at that. That almost nails the 1618 log scale target of 55 cents for 1,000 SHIB. So basically what 1,000 SHIB is instead of me trading 1 SHIB, I'm trading 1,000 at a time. So 1 equals 1,000 for this chart. So if that's the case and I get to the 1618, that would be 55 cents. We'll say 50, yeah, around 55 cents. Maybe we break out a little bit sooner, right? Maybe it's up here, and that makes more sense, right? Look at that, perfect, 55 cents. Okay, so if I go back to the exchange and I type in 55 cents, I'm not going to hold my position till we get 55 cents. But what would the return on investment be? Let's take a look. It's interesting. So you could see, I could put, this is kind of like a little calculator here. If we go up to 55 cents, what would it be? Before I do that, let's just take a regular Fibonacci, right? And because again, you know, you look at Dogecoin, it hit a 2.272 on log scale, right? Remember, SHIB it only had 1 bull run, so it's kind of a little bit behind in terms of Doge. But usually when a mainstream coin goes into its third wave, like for example, XRP's third wave was massive, Dogecoin's third wave was massive, it's usually a log scale target. But let's say that there is no log scale target, and we'll put this back on linear scale. Then you're looking at a 36 cent target right there. So between 14 cents and 36 cents. But I highly doubt it's going to stop. I think it's going to go a lot higher than that. I could be wrong. It could be just 36 cents. I don't know the inflation and all that. We'll see. But yeah, a lot of times these targets hit way higher. So 36 cents. So if I type that in the calculator, so I'll type in 0.15 cents. That is not bad at all. That's almost 700,000 just to hit a bare minimum target. Now again, this is a leveraged position. This is not financial advice. There's no guarantee I'm going to get to 15 cents. And even if we do get to 15 cents, there's no guarantee I'm going to be still holding my position, because I could have sold it a long time ago based off of whatever volatility, right? It's very hard to hold a leveraged position all the way to the target. It seems like it's an easy thing to do, but it's not. It's difficult. It's challenging. So yeah, if we have 15 cents, that's the bare minimum I think we're going to hit. But all right, now let's jump that up to 36 cents. Whoops. Let's jump that up to 36 cents. Now you're looking at like almost 1.8, right? But what about our 55 cent log scale target? Our 55 cent, 0.55. That's 2.7 million. Now, I can only dream that that's going to happen, right? I'm not a millionaire, okay? Let's just get that. I'm not a rich person. I'm doing okay. I've made a lot of mistakes over the time I've been in crypto, but I've made also a lot of money. I mean, don't forget, this is what I do. This is my job. I don't have a regular day job. I basically stay home all day, and I'm trying to earn money through trades. And if there's no volatility, it's very hard. But I'm just telling you the power of trading, right? So if I were to hold this position where it is right now, and we shot up to that 618 target, no, I'm sorry, the 1618 target, right? The 1618 target, which is at 14 cents, you're looking at a good chunk of money there, right? So we'll see if I can get to that. I'll keep you guys updated. I don't really show off my trades and stuff like that, only from time to time, but I'm doing this for obviously not financial advice, entertainment purposes only, but I'm doing this kind of for like educational reasons. Like, okay, I have a good position, and if it doesn't take the low, I can hold the position, right? Because normally I would probably sell it there, right? But or anywhere, and take my profit and leave, and then try to get back in another time. That's my job. If I hold it, then how am I going to get paid? What if it takes 8 months to get there? Well, guess what? Who's going to pay my bills over that 8 months? I have to take profit, But this is what I'm saying. For this chart, for that thing, for this asset, I'm not taking any profits. What I'm going to do goes totally against what I normally do. I'm going to give you guys updates on this every week. So maybe once a week or once a month, I'll show you my SHIB results. I'll say, hey, how are we doing right now? So far, you may ask, well, how much are you in profit at this very moment? Well, if I were to sell everything right now, I would walk away with that amount. But again, you can say, wow, that's a lot. But I put a lot. And the reason I put a lot of my own money, I put all of my own money. And the reason I did that, it was because I was very confident in the trade that I was doing. So definitely, this is definitely a high risk trade because there's so much money involved. But the reason I'm doing this is mostly because I would have already sold it by now. Dude, you got 20 grand in profit, sell it now. What are you doing? Walk away. That's a down payment on a car. I mean, a house. Nowadays it's a car. You can't even get a new truck without spending $100,000. Right? I'm in Southern California, so everything's extremely expensive here. So what seems expensive to me may seem extremely expensive to you, depending where you live in the world. But yeah, I would have totally took my profit, right? But the reason I'm not doing it is because I want to see if we can hit that 1618 target without touching it. And here's the cool part. If we do hit that number of 55 cents, that would be a $2.7 million trade. And so here's what I'm proposing. And the only way, here's what I'm proposing. So if we hit 50 cents, I will give away, I'm not sure exactly the amount, but it's probably going to be around $10,000. I will give away $10,000 to anyone who is a member of this channel. So if you're a member, you are automatically entered to win 50. Well, if you count the 1,000 SHIB, I don't even know how many SHIB it would be for that. I would have to do the math. But I'm not going to use the SHIB number. I'm going to use the dollar amount. So I would say 10,000 would be a good start. So if SHIB can hit 50, and I still have the trade, there's no guarantee I'll still have this trade when we hit 50 cents because something may happen. I don't know. This is not a guarantee that we're going to get to 50 cents. And even if we do get to 50 cents, there's no guarantee I'm going to be still holding this trade. But the reason I'm doing this is I don't even know why, right? I want to shout out to all the members that support the channel. So if you want to be a member, you can join. It's a couple bucks a month. If you don't like it, you can cancel it. Just try it out, see what you make of it. It's a good way to support the channel. I don't get basically no ad revenue. Like there's, you in order to get like real ad revenue, you got to be doing at least like 5,000 views per video to make it even worth considering, which is I'm probably around like 500 to 1,000 views on a good day. Obviously, that would change based on, you know, all the euphoria in the market, because when it's a boring market, nobody really cares. But when it's an exciting market, everybody wants to know what's going on. So I think we're at the verge of an exciting market. I don't think it's quite exciting yet. But since I feel like we're on the verge, that's why I thought it would be kind of fun to do this. You know, I've never given away anything, really. So at $10,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. All right. But again, there's no guarantee I'm going to get there. So we'll see how it all plays out. But again, if SHIB hits 50 cents on the 10,000 SHIB chart, which, and you can say, well, okay, well, how much is that in regular SHIB so I understand? Oh, that's a good question. Let's take a look. So if we look at SHIB here, and we go to log scale, I want to see what the percentage is, and then we'll know exactly what the price is on the regular chart, because this is the futures chart. All right, so the 1618 is at 53 cents, but I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to say we don't have to hit 53, we'll just do 50, okay? We'll just do 50 cents. Let me make sure it's perfect. All right, at least try. Okay, it's as perfect as I think. So let's take a percentage. So where we are right this second, and we're going to go all the way up to 54 cents, right around there. That's a, oh no, I'm sorry, I said 50 cents. That would be 3,000%, basically. You know, between 3,000, I would say 3,100%. All right, so let's go back, and let's go to SHIB, my favorite meme coin, based on the chart, and let's go up 3,000%, and let's see where that is. Well, I guess I don't have to. I guess I could just do this. I guess I could just take the fib level and go down. And what is the 1618? It's 0.0048751. That's why I like the futures chart better, because you have to deal with all these decimal points, and it's kind of frustrating. But essentially, let's just go up 3,000%, right there. So you're looking at 49. Okay, so let's just make it easy. Well, I'm sorry. Let's just say 4,800. So 48. Let's do 48. So it would be 0.00048. No. Yeah, 48000. That's the number. If SHIB hits this number and I still have my trade, I will give away 10 grand to any one member. You have to be a member though. So we'll see how it works out. Again, there's no guarantees. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. We'll see. But if I'm right and we hold our base and we get out of here, I think we can hit pretty big numbers. And if, let's say we don't hit that number, let's say we don't hit it, right? Because I know probably some of you are thinking, there's no way we're going to hit that. Well, I mean, it's not that far away. I mean, it's 3,000%. If we look at Dogecoin and we look at the second and third cycle, I mean, it went up way more than that. So, but, all right, now let's go back and let's get rid of that. Or let's actually go back here, and I'll do one more. I'll do one more thing, okay? So, if SHIB, I'm going to have to go back to the 1,000 chart now. SHIB. There we go. Okay, if SHIB hits, that's 10,000, right? But if SHIB, let's say SHIB does not come close to that. Let's say it only gets up to like 30, like between 30 and 40 cents. Okay, so if I go 30 cents, that's 1.458. If I go 40 cents, that's about 2 million. So if we don't hit that big number, I'll still do a giveaway. I don't know exactly how much it's going to be. It'll still be a big number. But yeah, if we don't hit that 1.61855 level, but we got to at least hit, I haven't worked out all the details. I probably should have, but we got to hit at least 30 cents. If we hit 30 cents, I'll do it. I don't know how much, but I will give away X amount of profit to a member if we hit that 30 cents. So in order for this to work, I have to hold my trade. If like how could this get screwed up? Well, it gets screwed up a lot. I'll tell you how. Because let's say we get up here, right? And then we have a three-way pullback, and let's say I buy that pullback. Well, now my entry's screwed up, right? And if I buy that pullback, and let's say it comes up and it looks good, but then it fails and it comes back down, that could really screw up everything. So I would have to cancel the whole trade. So again, there's no guarantee it's going to happen. So what I'm going to try to do is not buy any more SHIB. I want to keep my entry price very low. That's why I went extremely heavy. You go, why? Because you looked at the P&L right now. I'm up 225%. That's $20,000. I never make that amount. The reason why it's so much is because I put way more than I probably should have in that trade. The reason why is because I felt very confident of it, but I learned my lesson the last time. You got to go heavy down here, because a lot of time people are scared and they go light, and then once we go up, then they go heavy, then it pulls back, then you get screwed. Okay? So you don't want that. So we'll see how it plays out. I think this will be a fun, interesting time. And another reason I'm doing it is because I'm trying to keep things a little bit interesting on the channel. I'm trying to keep it a little bit interesting. And yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, this is kind of fun. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. So again, this is not my normal trade that I do. Normally, if I get between $500 to $1,000, that's typically my trade right there. And I take profits anywhere between $500 up to like $2,000 or $3,000. But if I'm swing trading, which this is a swing trade, it could go between 10, 20, maybe even more. But the fact that I already have 20,000 in profit already, and we've only went off the low just a little bit, shows you how big this position is. And the reason I chose it to be a big position was because I felt very confident, but also because I don't want to be buying up here, thinking I don't have enough, right? So that's why I went super heavy down here, so that I don't have to buy and screw up my entry price. Because if you buy here and then you buy here, then your entry is somewhere there, right? So you kind of want to keep it low. So yeah, let's see how it all plays out. I think that's it, man. We'll see. Let me take a look and zoom out a little bit. AVAX is up 5%. Not bad. Look at the SHIB's up 6%. I wanted to look at Trump and AVAX real quick. Just real quick here. Yeah, see, the thing with Trump is it looks like 1, 2, 3. I'm also holding Trump. So to give you an idea, you could see Trump, I'm at $2,700 profit. You can see XLM at $330 profit. So the fact that, again, SHIB is at 20,000, it's totally rare for me. And again, the reason why it's so much is because I put a lot of money into it. And yeah, so I'd be very curious to see what happens. So you can see my entry for Trump is $12. And yeah, let's take a look at the price here. Let me zoom in. Right, my entry is not the greatest on here. It was $12, so that's about like right there. So I think I bought it somewhere in here as we were doing something like this. I would prefer it down here, but so here's the thing. If I buy it right now, then if I buy it right here, then I would have to move my entry, maybe to there. So then it screws up your entry. So that's why, you want a dollar cost average, but if you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, you get bullish divergence, it's part of a big flat or an ABC. My experience is just go heavy, right? So for the trade. Now, if you're buying spot position and for an investor, totally different. So yeah, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we get 5. And I would say that fifth wave would get us somewhere up to that 1618, which is at $20. So all right, that's Trump. Now let's look at AVAX. AVAX, I'm not holding AVAX, but I want to hold AVAX. I wish I did hold it. I held it on and off for a little while, but not holding it now. So I would like to own it. I just don't have an entry. I mean, how do you buy it right there? It's very hard for me with the experience I have. I like buying this or this or this, not this, even though this can keep going higher. And a lot of times people go, oh, I don't want to buy it. It went straight up. And then what happens is it goes up more and they go, I can't take it anymore. Now I'll buy it. And then it comes down. So, I've been there. Trust me. But yeah, you could see, you have a shoulder, you have a head, you have a shoulder. You're breaking that neckline. It's looking really good. So just got to be a little careful. If this is a 1, A, B, C, 2, and now we're going up for a 3 here. So we get 4 and then 5. Any chart with a 3-way pullback, so you have ICP, you have Fetch, you have AVAX, you have Near Protocol, right? Looks pretty much the same. You have SHIB, you have Theta, right? They all have these 3-way pullbacks here. So it'll be interesting to see how it works, because if you have an A and then you have a B, whoops, that's not a B, that's an A. If you have a B and then you come up and get a C, that's kind of what I'm thinking here is a C wave. So we'll see if that plays out. So anyways, as far as the target goes for AVAX, definitely don't want to sleep on this one. I think this one's going to do very well. You're looking at minimum 230 up to 593. But if you want a log scale target, you're looking at almost $850. That's crazy. Most likely you're probably going to get, I would say, between a 10 and 12x. It's going to be very hard to get a 3000x, but it wouldn't surprise me at all because it's the third wave. AVAX, if this is cycle wave 1 and this is cycle wave 2, then that means we're beginning cycle wave 3, and that's going to be major. It's going to be major because the third's always going to be bigger than the first. Not necessarily in percentage terms, but yeah. So, and then ICP is another one that I don't hold. I don't think I have this one. I'm holding on to it currently. Again, on and off holding it, but just take a trend-based fib extension from here, pull it down. You got a nice 5-wave impulse and a 3-wave pullback. It's perfect. It's perfection. Minimum target, $33. So, again, there's no guarantee that we're going to hit these crazy numbers. But again, if we go into a cycle, because we really haven't had a cycle, right? Bitcoin has, but most of the altcoins, this is their mid-cycle correction. Let me go back to ICP, right? So This was the cycle. This is the mid-cycle. And then let's go up and finish the cycle. That's how I feel. And we could even get 5 in here. You know, this could be like 1, 2. We get up here 3, and then 4, and then 5. It could be very big. I like ICP because if you just get back up to way up here where it started, I mean, that's like 10,000%. That's insane. So anything else we need to keep an eye on? Yeah, ADA, Litecoin, XLM, Axelar. I'm holding Axelar. Theta, H-bar for sure. Algorand. I think these will all do pretty well. So, yeah, we just gotta wait for this thing to break out, and let's get back up here and then reevaluate once that happens. Another big one that could be a huge winner, a major winner, would be Filecoin if it plays out correctly. If this is 3 up and this is 3 down, which it is, and then we go up and get 5, that could be a big move in percentage terms. I mean, just from where we are here, I mean, you're looking at a 12x just to get back to not even the retrace level. So, interesting times ahead. But anyways, look out for another members video sometime this month. Again, I try to do 2 member videos a month, and each of those videos are about an hour long. So that's 120 minutes. So if you divide that up into 10-minute videos, that's a lot of 10-minute videos. If you look at it like that. But yeah, and then, you know, if you're a member, you can be entered to win a potential $10,000. It's not guaranteed. It is not guaranteed that it's even we're going to get there. But we'll see how it plays out. Maybe it will. It'll be interesting. It'll be definitely interesting to see how long can Crypto Brandon hold his trade without hitting that panic sell button. But either way, even if it doesn't make insane amounts of money, I'll still give something away. So you can count on that. For sure, 100%. I will give something away. I don't know exactly what it would be, what the dollar amount would be, but I will give it away. We'll see how it all plays out. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. I appreciate everybody. Appreciate the members. Appreciate the support. And remember, this is not financial advice. We're just trying to figure things out. Exploring ideas. Trying to figure it out together. And yeah, let's see how the Sunday is tomorrow. So hopefully it's not too bloody, but then again, we can afford a big bloody Sunday tomorrow because we have a lot of wiggle room, and it wouldn't really surprise me too much. Monday probably a little bit too. Usually Sundays and Mondays are a little bearish, but then we get to the middle of the week and maybe we get ramping up again. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.